This is the perfect season for you to go harder and for you to put all of your time and your effort into yourself, okay? Because when new relationships come into your life, you are going to have less time. The most time consuming relationship is a romantic relationship. So when you do not have that in your life, this is the best time to go all into you, like to hyper focus on yourself, to make sure everything that you want to do, you start it. That's if you're not already doing it. You know, when I was in my single season, that's when I started YouTube. That's when I started social media a bit more. That's when I just started really learning about myself, seeing my giftings, and really just honing in on that and making sure that I was cultivating that, because I wanted to make sure I put enough time into myself so that by the time I was in a relationship, it wasn't a thing where I became codependent, or I looked to that person to give me purpose, or I looked at that person for anything other than just companionship. I think sometimes when we get in relationships, we get so consumed with the other person. Okay, we get so consumed with the other person. We end up spending so much time with them that we end up depending on them for a social life, for company all the time, that all of the little things that we used to do when we were single and independent, we no longer do that. It's like we almost rely on them to function. And I've had women say that ever since I've got in a relationship, I've just lost myself. Or it's like I don't recognize myself, I'm losing myself, but I just can't leave. And honestly, that's a place that majority of women have been in. A lot of us women have been in relationships that have drained us, that have sucked the life out of us, where we feel like we're given so much, yet we're receiving so little. But because we're so used to that person and we almost depend on them for a lot of things, it's very difficult for us to leave. And I've had some of you women reach out to me and literally say these things to me. And that's why I'm making this video, because there's times in your life where you're going to go through certain seasons, and each season has a purpose. And if you don't utilize that season well, you'll find that in your next season, it's not working out how it's meant to work out, because you was meant to prepare it in the season beforehand. And a lot of the time, your single season is for preparation, so that when you eventually get into a relationship, you don't lose yourself, okay? You don't become someone you don't recognize. You don't fall so low that you can't catch yourself, or you don't start pitting the other person above yourself and above God. You see, a lot of the time we get into a relationship with women and we want to show them our worth. We want to prove ourselves to him. We want to start cooking, cleaning. We want to start doing all these stuff that are not necessarily required of us to prove our worth. And usually that is from a place of insecurity. We want to be loved. We want to be appreciated. We want him to adore us. And we think that if we do all of these extra things, then that is going to guarantee that. But a lot of the time, no. That just allows a man to become complacent, and he doesn't really need to try that hard, because we're giving him everything without him earning it. Once you deal with your insecurities and once you deal with yourself in that secret place, in that place of being by yourself, only then can you really show up as your true and authentic self. Because a lot of the time we are showing up in our relationship out of insecurity, and a lot of us women have been in relationships where we operate from that place. We operate from a place of fear of them seeing the true us and not really liking us, fear of them seeing what we're really like behind closed doors and not really liking us as we want them to. And because we want to be wanted so much, we end up doing things that we thought we'd never do, or we end up compromising in ways that we thought we'd never compromise in. And I know that is a story for a lot of women, because honestly, that was my story at one point, where I was compromising in relationships, doing things that I never thought I would do. And it got to a place where I didn't even recognize myself, because I wanted to be loved so much, I wanted to be appreciated so much, that when I was in a relationship with a guy, I would give him all of me and he probably give me only 50%. But I thought that was okay, because as long as I'm being loved in a way, in what I thought was love, then it's the equal trade. But it's not, because a man is meant to chase a woman, not the other way around. And so I think once I was in my single season, I was really able to deal with myself, because sometimes we are called to a time of singleness, a time where we can really focus on ourselves, learn about ourselves, because you find that sometimes you get in relationships and trauma starts speaking. Abandonment issues start speaking, fear of rejection starts speaking, and all of these things should have been dealt with, or should be dealt with. You know, it's not something we just let slide and say, oh, but this happened in the past. Your future partner or your partner doesn't deserve to deal with your trauma. Although it's natural, everyone has some hint of it, everyone has some sort of healing to do. It's not fair to be projecting that onto them without any effort in trying to remedy that. It's not fair on them. It's like me having to deal with someone constantly being mean to me because they're scared that if they're nice to me, I'll hurt them. That's not fair on me. And it's not fair on your partner to constantly deal with things that you didn't want to deal with in your secret place. And that's why it's so important to utilize your single season, because this is a time where you can learn about your traumas, where you can learn about things that you need to heal from, where you can realize the things you don't like about yourself and work on that. Look at the ways you can improve. And don't get twisted. Sometimes you only notice these things in relationships, but whilst you're in your single season, be intentional about learning about yourself. Learn where you can improve. Learn how you can improve your communication, and learn how you can love yourself. A lot of the time, we don't love ourselves as much as we should. And sometimes it varies with what season we're in. Sometimes you can be completely in love with yourself. You love yourself, you're confident, yes, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And then there's times where actually my love tank is a little bit low when it comes to me. And that can happen for anything. Sometimes we can gain a bit of weight and we lose our confidence, and we're struggling in this season. Sometimes we lose too much weight. Sometimes we end up having hyperpigmentation. We end up having acne. Sometimes we just look different in this season, and that reduces our confidence. Sometimes we just feel like we're going for a bad season and we're struggling with anger. We're struggling with different things, and we begin not to recognize ourselves because we're so used to looking and acting a certain way that when we start acting or looking out of character, it almost diminishes our self-worth and self-esteem. And so your single season, your season where you're by yourself, where you're in that isolation period, where you're just alone, is the perfect time to deal with that. You can begin to go on that self-love journey, because sometimes it's difficult to go on a self-love journey when you're in a relationship. And I'll tell you why that is. Because we have insecurities about how we feel, we often look to the other person to make us feel better. We look to them to build us up, to give us that confidence, that when we don't feel good, we look to them to make us feel better. And if you constantly have someone to depend on in that area, you're never really going to take accountability and become that for yourself. That's why I'd say it's a little bit more difficult. But where you're actually by yourself, you can utilize that time. You can go on that self-love journey. You can learn how to solo date. You can learn how to love yourself natural. You can learn how to fix anything that you believe is wrong with your internal being. You can go on that spiritual journey with Jesus. You can spend so much time on yourself. You can really make yourself into a person that you love and adore. And some of the times we are still alone. We are still in that single season because the person we are is not the person God needs us to be in a relationship. Otherwise, we could ruin it. And this is not about another person. Oh, but it's not just me that could ruin a relationship. It could be the other person 100%. But this video is about ourselves and how we can ensure that our single season will be effective. And I honestly would say that during my single seasons, I made sure that I utilized them. I made sure that I got closer to God. I made sure that I was learning more about myself. I made sure that I was focusing on my self-love journey, developing myself, trying to include new hobbies into my life. And honestly, I'm so thankful for that, because in my single season, I actually started doing a lot. And I think I didn't realize that until now, that I started doing a lot. And now that I am in a relationship, I have my own things that I like to do separate from another person, because it's very important to be an individual within your relationship so that you do not become codependent. The reason I talk about single season is because I know a lot of women want to come out of this season. They want to get into a relationship. They want to be in a different season. They don't like it. It's lonely, or I've been in it for so long. But then every season is teaching you something. Some seasons last longer than others. If you're from England, you know our winters last way longer than our summers. If you are in, I don't know, Arizona, your summers are like all year round. So it's like every season lasts a different length of time, and every season is for different purposes. You are different in each season. You learn new things in different seasons. And so it's all about being intentional in the season you're in, not just wanting to come out of it. Because sometimes when God is leading you through the wilderness, you can't escape out of the wilderness. It's almost like your prayer is, God, give me the grace to remain in the wilderness and to get by, not God take me out of it, because you're not going to get out of every season you're in. Sometimes you have to patiently go through it. And when you're in your season of singleness, this is the time to water the garden within you. We all have seeds within us that need watering. They need attention in order to grow and develop. And this is the perfect time to do that. You know, I honestly believe that inside of us we have a garden that needs to be watered, that needs to be fertilized, that needs to be looked after. You need to water the seeds within you. You need to be able to acknowledge the giftings within you. What are the things inside of you that you could begin to cultivate now so that it will grow, it will flourish, so that when you go into a relationship, you have something already going on for yourself. That could be whether you are creative, you want to start a new business, you want to start something to do with social media, you want to go into a new career path, you want to start studying, or you want to just pick up a couple new hobbies, you want to become more well-read, you want to just learn more about the world. There's so much new things you could try to improve your person, and I would honestly encourage you to explore that whilst you're in this season, because it's not like you don't have the time. We have more time than we would if we was in a relationship, okay? Because there was times when I was in my single season and I was so bored of it. I was like, God, get me out. I want to be in a relationship, and I had to kill that desire of mine because it was almost stopping me from moving forward. I was so focused on what it would be like when I was in a relationship that I wasn't focused on now. I wasn't in the present. And I once I killed that desire, I was able to enjoy my season, and I didn't care how long it lasted. I know a lot of us have been in that season for a very long time, but it's all about your mindset. It's all about your mindset. You have to have the mindset of, I'm just going to enjoy this season. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. I'm going to be in this season not because I have to be, but because it is what it is. You know, a lot of the time we are kicking and screaming and we hate the place we are in life, when really and truly, if you shift your mindset, you can begin to be content where you are. You can begin to cultivate a life for yourself where you are. Humans are adaptable by nature. It's all about being adaptable in your single season, doing what you can to get by. It's not always easy, and sometimes you are over it, but you're still in it. So you need to be able to do something productive whilst you're there. That way, when you finally come out of it, the thing that God gives you at the end of it is not an idol. The relationship doesn't become an idol because you were content. You know, the Bible says, I learned to be content whatever the circumstance. We have to learn to be content in our season of singleness, and that comes from utilizing it well. This was just a little encouragement to you ladies that watch me, and you ladies that have said, like, sometimes when you get relationships, you just don't know who you are anymore. And I honestly believe that cultivating your single season will help that not to happen, where once you enter a relationship, because you spent so much time developing yourself, working on yourself, improving yourself, and enjoying your own company, once you get into a relationship, you're still going to be that person that you love, so that you won't feel the need to work for someone else's love or to almost beg someone else to love you. You've come in there with that confidence, that self-assuredness that you built up in that secret place, that you built up in that season that you just came out of. But then when you don't utilize your season well, you'll find that you don't develop as you're meant to develop. But it's never too late. Even if you're in a relationship watching me, it's never too late to start this journey. It's never too late to start with this self-development. You know, my channel is all about self-development, self-love, improving yourself and becoming who God has ordained you to become. It's never too late to get on that journey. But I'm just saying that certain seasons are easier for you to be on that journey than other seasons. Because when you're in a season where you're super busy, it's very hard to dedicate a lot of time to yourself. But when you're in a season where you're still, you're by yourself, you're quiet, it's so much easier. So don't wait till tomorrow to start bettering yourself and start improving yourself. Start now, so that when you do finally leave this season, you're leaving a better woman than you entered in. I thank you for watching. My name is Lakeishaa, for those of you who did not catch that. I make content based on self-development, self-love, faith, girl talks. And if you think that is something you enjoy, then please subscribe, like this video if you haven't already, and turn on your post notifications so you never miss an upload. But I will see you in my next video. Bye.